So don't pay attention to the graph. If you're looking at the graph, you're going to be like, oh, it's a bit choppy, but pay attention to the balance. Yeah, we're 6% up. So 6K up in 51 trades. And this is literally only trading the wide stop loss approach. So if you don't know, a wide stop loss approach is literally using a stop loss of what this is the way I do it on my red alert. If I'm setting up wide stop loss, I optimize between 100 and 150 pips. And it's so using a wider stop loss with a take profit of 10 to 50 pips. So we're looking to get in and out the market as quickly as possible. And when I'm choosing my trades on red alert, I want to see the maximal trade open time is anywhere like under 45 minutes. Anything over 45 minutes, personally, I don't bother with. Usually I'm looking for, the lowest possible open and close time. I want it to be open for, 2 minutes and then sit out for the rest of the day. And that's the thing that I love about red alert, is the fact that psychologically, it's, for me anyway, it's probably the best. Simply because I don't mind sitting out of the market. Like, I really don't mind. I prefer to be out of the market than have things open, to be honest. When I have things open, means I've got to check it. It means I've got to track it. I just prefer to get in and out, sit out for the rest of the day or sit out for the rest of the week and then be done with it. And that's the thing that I love about red alert is you can literally, some of these trades are open for 30 seconds and so on. I'll show you here. So there are a few trades on here that wasn't a wide stop loss approach. However, recently I've decided to make sure that this master is just doing a wide stop loss approach, simply because it's easier to track. And then I've got a couple of other master accounts that are running different approaches. And then when I look back at the data, it's just much easier to review. And I'm going to do this all the way up until January. So I'm probably just going to be focusing on red alert for that time. I've got stuff on banker running and I'm going to talk through that in a second. But with red alert, I'm just going to basically test wide stop loss. I'm going to test a higher RR approach. And I've got a hybrid version, which I call a hybrid version. And that is testing between a 30 and an 80 pip stop loss with a 10 to 50 pip take profit. So I'm still looking to get in and out the market as quickly as possible, but it's not too much of a wide stop loss approach. So I call it a bit of a hybrid. But anyways, if I could show you here, yeah, most of these trades are banking anywhere between 200 and 500 USD, and they are in and out. Like this one here, what's that? 36. This was done in 50 seconds. 50 seconds for 500. Let's say £500. 50 seconds for £500 work. Next one, 36. Yeah, that one's 50 as well. Next one was 2112. Yeah, what's that? 20 minutes? 20 minutes. Crazy. So obviously there are some losses, which is why the graph doesn't look amazing. Like when you look at the banker graphs, they're obviously a little bit cleaner. But this one it looks a little bit more choppy, but that's because there are losses. Now, for most people, like they'll take a loss on the day and then think that the strategy doesn't work or completely change their approach and try something new. But one thing I've realized is just let it play out. Like stick to your same strategy. The more you practice, the better. And just keep doing it over and over again. And over the course of the month, when you look back, you realize that you're in profit, even though you might start the first day with a loss, So you just got to keep doing it. Keep being consistent. Run the same strategy. As long as you're seeing profits eventually, obviously you don't want to keep running the strategy if you're only taking losses. But yeah, there are going to be losses. You're trading high impact news. Like high impact news is very, very volatile. So you are going to take losses eventually. So you just got to understand that and accept it, but let it play out. As you can see, done over 3.5% in August alone. And this is just trading gold. So I decided to make this account gold only. We're up 2% in September already, which, unbelievable. What are we? The 19th of September. So not too shabby at all. 6K overall. And yeah, just really like this account. The thing is about the wide stop loss approach is, the profits might not be as big as the higher risk to reward approach is, but they add up. So what I like to do is only trade after news. So personally, I haven't traded before news yet. I only trade after news, anywhere between 1 and 30 minutes after news, and choose different times. So you're not just going to run like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes all in a row. I might choose one at 1 minute after news. I might choose one at 12 or 13 minutes after news, and then one at 29 minutes after news. And I'll usually stick to that for this approach and for the other approaches actually. And it seems to be working really well. One thing I've noticed with the wide stop loss approach is, because it's banking like little profits, let's say little profits, but still decent. Let's say you bank 200, 200, 200, but then you take a loss of 1K, you're still only down 400 for the day, which is not too bad at all. Like compared to using, Banker EA, where you're going to set an EP and you might be down 4.5%, you're only down 400 and it's easy to recover from. So that's one thing I really like about the wide stop loss approach is like the profits tend to cover the losses really well. So there we are. What one is this? Let's just remind myself. So this is okay. This is a wide stop loss approach on indices. Literally doing exactly the same strategy. So I actually removed gold from this. I did start trading gold with it at the start, but then I thought I'd just put it all onto the other account as it's easier to use. And I also like to use Darwin X for gold because I can trade, I can backtest much further back. So back to March 2023, whereas with IC markets, I can only do from January onwards. From January onwards, for me, it's fine for indices, but for gold, I want a little bit more data. So I tend to use Darwin X, but this is using ICM. Again, don't pay attention to the graph, pay attention to the profit, up nearly 3% in 45 trades. I only started this a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, 3% in September already. Only trading these two pairs right here. And yeah, this is a wide stop loss approach. Again, exactly the same approach, just for indices. Just add a 0 onto everything when you backtest it. And yeah, these trades are in and out within, look at this one. This was 58 and under 10 minutes on this one. This was done in 3 minutes. This one was done in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on and so on. Some of them are done within 30 seconds, which is absolutely mental. But yeah, really like this account so far, trading a wide stop loss approach. I think today, I just had the one trade today for unemployment claims, and it's done $314. So take what you can. You don't always have to try and bank thousands and thousands of pounds. If you only bank $250 or $300 for the day, that's a day's wage. And I'm sure if you had 5 or 6 of those over the month, you'd be very, very happy with it. So yeah, really like this account. The other account that I shared, the one that the hybrid version that has done $3,634 today. I've actually got that linked up to a master account, but I haven't got, I've run out of room on my social trader tools, so I can't show you it. But later on, once I hook it up to my FX book and I have a little bit more data on that, then I'll share the results. I like to share things that I have data on. Like I don't really have enough data on that. I've only done a few news events, taken some losses, taken some wins, but yeah, it's running a 30 to 80 pip stop loss, and a 10 to 50 pip TP. I tend to bank a little bit more than a wide stop loss approach, but I'm still getting 90 to 100% win rates. So yeah, really, really promising on that so far. Let me just come back to Crowdcast, check that everything's okay. Yep, we're good. Let's carry on. So yeah, red alert, gonna continue backtesting that all the way up until January. Probably just gonna focus on that more than anything, because it really suits my psychology and the returns are insane. And I really like it. Yeah, everyone that's trying the single trade approach and not seeing much consistency, red alert is like the best single trade approach you can get. So if you're really struggling with the single trade approach, try red alert. It was a lot easier to backtest. I mean, my optimizations I'm doing on OHLC, and I'm probably doing, I don't know, 20K optimization in 5 minutes, let's say. And then I'm going through them using every tick with real ticks. And they mostly match anyway on red alert. So yeah, really easy to backtest. So easy. Much easier than Banco, in my opinion. But let's go through the single trade approach. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't seen much consistency with this approach up until now. I set up like 5 different master accounts at the start, was trading different things. I was going into profit for the first week, and then after that, it would sort of go to shit. And that's simply, yeah, I don't know whether that was down to the market or just because I don't know the strategy too well yet. I probably need to get better at my testing for it. I haven't really focused in on it that much. I did at the start, but then I switched to red alert as it was easier. But one thing I done the other week was use Darren's optimization file, changed it a little bit, and then decided to put on this master account. So this started on the 10th of September. So we are 9 days in and we are up 5K. So this is looking good so far. These trades are only open for, not only open, should I say, these trades are, it only takes 1 trade a day. So I make sure that, you know, it's not, if it hits a loss, it's not opening another one within an hour or so on and so on. So it's just 24 hours. If it hits a loss, it will restart 24 hours later. So yeah, this is looking good so far, to be fair. US Tech and US 30. Few losses, you've got to take the losses. One thing I've noticed with the single trade approach, a little bit like red alert, really, you have to let it play out. You have to really be patient and you have to let it play out. If I was copying this over to a prop firm, I would probably copy it over at 0.25 or a 0.3 lot multiplier, just because you need to cover the maximal losing run of each set file. I think this has got 4 set files altogether. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember. But let's say your max loss is set at like 1K. If you hit your max loss on all 4 set files, you're down 4K for the day. So I would probably just copy that over at 0.25, and then you're only down 1K for the day. And it'll probably be a little bit better on your psychology. You know, seeing 4 to 5, 6K losses is not, you know, it's not fun. It's not good for anyone, especially when it's on a challenge or a funded account. But yeah, you really have to just let these play out. And other tips that I can give you on this single trade approach is like just something that I've noticed. And I had a trader interview with Paul the other day. I don't know if anyone saw it on YouTube. If you haven't, go to YouTube and watch his trader interview. It's really good. So his approach is not for the single trade strategy, just in general. His approach is to backtest 6 months back, and he runs for 2 weeks live, and then he re-optimizes everything 6 months back, runs for 2 weeks, and so on and so on. And I thought, I'm going to try that with this. So I backtested 6 months back, and I'm going to run this for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to re-optimize it. Now, one thing that he said that he does is like, if he has like certain set files that have performed really well, then he doesn't need to re-optimize those. He'll run those again for another 2 weeks, and so on. He doesn't re-optimize like every single set file in the master account, just the ones that really need it. So it's important to like pay attention to your data, because you might have a really profitable set file, and then you go and change it, and yeah, you kind of letting it go to waste. So yeah, give it a try. Backtest back 3 to 6 months, run it for 2 weeks live, backtest back 3 to 6 months, and continue doing that. It manages to stay more in line with the market. And, you know, one thing I noticed with this is like it performs really well in the first week, or my other master accounts did. So So maybe if I had re-optimized at the end of the week or another week, then I would have stayed profitable rather than seeing, big swings up and down of my P&L. But yeah, this week done nearly $700. But yeah, looking good, looking good. US 30 single trade approach. So, okay, this master account was running. What was this running? This was running. Where do I see that? I don't really use my effects of it that much. Probably should use it a little bit more. But anyways, this wasn't just running US 30. This is running other indices. And then I decided, so I had a look at the master account. It was, not performing too well. We was down nearly 9% on the 10th of September. And then when I looked at the account, I kind of reviewed the account and saw that US 30 was performing better than the others, and the others were kind of letting the account down. So if I had just run US 30, then the account would have actually been in profit. But because I was hitting losses on the other set files, I think there was 5 or 6 set files altogether, then the account was actually down. So what I decided to do was just remove all the other pairs and set files and just run US 30. And I had 2 other US 30 set files that were performing well on another account. And I decided to just combine them and put them into this account. So this is just running US 30 and it's using 3 set files altogether. Now, this week it's done 6.4K. I think it's 5 of that is today. Where is that? Yeah, 4.4K of that is today. So it's performing really well since I've done that. And that's actually a big tip. I do this with a lot of my banker master accounts is like, let's say you're running, a number of set files on one account. And you notice when reviewing the data that, a specific pair or a specific set file is performing better than others, then you can just take that set file and put it onto a completely different master account, or maybe take that set file and decide to, just track that one set file or a collection of your best set files into one account. And I've noticed that works really, really well. It also removes a lot of confusion. So if you've got 25 set files running all together, it's quite hard to track, right? It's quite hard to manage. It's difficult to look at that data and see what's performing best and what's not. When you come to re-optimize it, you've got to re-optimize all 25 set files. It takes a long time. Whereas if you're only re-optimizing 1 or 2 set files, it's a lot easier, and you can still bank decent profits. So there we go. Moving on. And that's exactly what I've done with this one. This account is unbelievable. I just love this account. Running gold only, 2 set files, split into long and short. They're both double Confluence set files. So that means that the EMA is on H4, the ADX is on M5. Yeah, H4 and M5. So it's a double Confluence account. Now, if I scroll down, it does about 3 to 4% a month consistently. However, these set files have been running a lot longer than I started this account on the 30th of June. I've actually been running them longer than that because I was running them on other master accounts and I removed those set files and put them all into this account. So it's just 2 set files. As you can see, the lot sizes are capped at 1 lots on the buyers. It's actually a fixed lot size, sorry. That's long only, so that's a fixed lot size. When I looked at the backtest report and the trade volume, I noticed that it wasn't opening like big stacks of trades at a time. It would open 2 or 3 trades at a time, and then it was in and out of the market, rather than 10, 20 stacks of trades and causing me stress. So yeah, I really like the set file. So I took that, put it onto this account, and then the short set file is capped at 0.1 lots, so a lot less, but it's super profitable. And if I look at my double Confluence account, it was taken from this account. As you can see, this half of the pie here, half of the profit was coming from just that one set file, which was gold short only. So because I noticed it was performing really well, thought it'd be much easier to track on its own, and that has proven to be correct. It's hardly ever got anything open. Like I usually wake up in the morning, have a little check, and it's banked like $200 to $300 maybe, and then it's just off for the rest of the day. One of them has custom session times, but yeah, it's hardly got anything open, and it's nearly up 9% since the 30th of June, and yeah, 3% in July, 4% in August, and on track for another 3% in September. So yeah, amazing account. This is perfect for a funded account. I've also scaled this up. I've actually times it by 5, copying it over to a cent account, which is doing really well as well. Yeah, causes me absolutely no stress whatsoever. So yeah, love this account. 1,500 trades since the 30th of June. But most of that is coming from the short only set file. Gold Cent Master, again, these set files were running on different accounts, which I decided to take them from and put them onto their own cent account. So been running since the 22nd of August, so about a month now. Done 219 trades, up nearly 30k. Obviously this is cent, so up nearly 300 pounds or $300, should I say. It's done 20% in September so far, which is fantastic. And this is literally running. Let me just remind myself. Okay, this is running a fixed lot size here, and then a live delay, fixed lot live delay on the other one. So they're split into long and short. One thing I found, like with live delay, is it's a lot easier to find live delay fixed lot size set files. It seems to work really well combined, live delay and fixed lot. Personally, I like live delay, but I don't like it that much, simply because I don't really like this. I mean, this would be like the live delay lot multiplier, should I say. So live delay works really well, but the live delay lot multiplier or combined live delay, I don't really like. I prefer this just to be fixed lot, just for my own personal preference. No particular reason behind that. But this is running like an RSI approach. So I think this is actually a 5-minute RSI approach, and all the other indicators are off. So it's just trading, reversal strategies, and yeah, it's really, really profitable. On the backtest report is unbelievable. When I had it ticked to compound, so when I had compounding ticked, it was like 100k to $1 million plus in 12 months. I haven't got it ticked right now, but as this grows, let's say when it doubles the account, then I'll probably switch that compounding on, or I'll just do it through social trader tools, because you can do that. So yeah, this account is pretty solid. It does open quite big stacks of trades, which do go into drawdown. I have seen 20k drawdown on this at a time, but then it banks, very, very quickly. And it doesn't take much of a pullback to bank. So I'll keep tracking this all the way up until the end of the year. But again, working really well. Now, one thing I would say is like these two accounts here just go to show that you don't need like 15, 20, 25 set files running to make decent profit. Both of these accounts have only got 2 set files. And this one does 3 to 4% a month off 2 set files. Sometimes I often find that we get caught up in trying to like create the perfect strategy and cover all angles, and we want to cover all different markets, and that's all well and good, and that's great, that does work. But sometimes, like if you're like me and you like simplicity and you want to make it as simple as possible, sometimes just keeping it as simple as possible is the best way forward, because like I said before, it's easier to manage, easier to track, and the results speak for themselves. Double Confluence account. This account is a beast, absolute beast. This has been running since the 15th of April. I've spoken through this account quite a few times on YouTube, and it's copying over to my Darwin X, which I will talk you through in a second. But yeah, nearly done 100k on this since 15th of April. Um, I haven't banked 100K into my bank account, but I've done 100K on the master account. And the reason why I say that is because I do see it go into a high drawdown quite frequently, but it always banks very, very quickly, and banks decent profit. I mean, we're up nearly 40%. Like, it's crazy. So many trades, nearly 13,000 trades since April, which is a lot of trades. Now, one thing I'll say about this account is, so it started off really well, and then I saw a really high drawdown in these little bits here, and these little spikes here. So what I decided to do, I noticed that it was coming from a couple of set files. So I decided to remove one or two set files because they was causing me stress and causing the account to go into drawdown, and I didn't really want that to happen too often, or as often as it was. And there was a few other set files that I noticed the lot sizes were too big. So I reduced the lot sizes on them by, I don't know, half, or took it down by a third, or whatever it was. I reduced the lot size and the max lot size to ensure that I wasn't overexposed if I go into drawdown again. And that is another tip. That is another tip for you, is just because you see, let's say you've started an account, you've done all your back testing, you started a portfolio, first day, boom, goes into high drawdown, hit an EP, or goes into high drawdown and you think, this doesn't work, what load of rubbish, I'm going to start all over again. What's wrong with it? Doesn't mean there's anything wrong. It's just trading. That's just something that happens. You've got to accept that when you're trading with an EA, that is going to happen. But it doesn't mean you have to scrap the set file altogether, or you scrap the account altogether. Maybe you could just keep the set file running, see how it performs. If it doesn't continue to perform very well, either remove it or just reduce the lot size and the max lot size, see if it performs well and stays within your drawdown limits. And for me, that's what worked really well with this account. I noticed that a couple of them set files were banking a lot of profit, but they were in high drawdown. So maybe I could just sacrifice some profit in order to keep the drawdown minimal. And it worked really, really well. Yeah, a lot of trades on this. I didn't realize there were so many trades, nearly 13,000 trades. But like I said, a lot of the profit is coming from gold short only set file. Now, as you can see, started off really well, 9%, 7.5% in May. I think I actually switched off for some of June to make those adjustments. So just to review what was working well and what wasn't working well. I haven't re-optimized any of the set files on this. I've just made adjustments. So then I continued. July banked really well, nearly 8% in July, 3.5% in August, a little bit quieter over the summer months. And then I think I reduced something else again in September. But yeah, this account is just an absolute beast. It's done nearly, what has it done? Let's have a little look on my MetaTrader. So that red alert trade banked in the end. So 4K day on the hybrid version. Can't complain. So this double Confluence account this week has done $5,000. A little bit of a swap fees there, but 5K. And over the course of the last month, since September the 1st, it has done 12.5K. But again, I have seen high drawdown. We're talking 20, 30K drawdown, which means I'm just going to let this run until the end of time or until it completely goes to shit. But I'm just going to keep it running because I've got all this data now and I know what to do with it now. Because I've seen it go into, a high drawdown, it means that when I copy over, I'm not going to copy over 100% lot multiplier. I'm going to copy over at 0.25 or 0.3 or something, a little bit less in order to keep it in check and still bank decent profit. And that's exactly what I've done on my Darwin account. So Darwin is up nearly 27%. So 27K since 27th of March. This is running the double Confluence account. I actually messed this up a little bit. For some reason, I can't remember off the top of my head, but what happened was, I think it was copying really well. And when I saw one of the set files on the double Confluence account go into high drawdown, it caused my Darwin score to go right down. And I panicked because I didn't really know what Darwin was about, and I changed my approach to something more conservative. Now, yes, it was conservative, but it wasn't boosting my score on Darwin. So I still had like a really bad score, and I wasn't in line for allocation, which I'll talk you through in a second. So I scrapped that all together, went back to the double Confluence account, and I've been running it since the 11th of July. And it's continued to perform really, really well. Copying it over at 0.25 lot multiplier, 7,850 trades. And yeah, these are the results. As you can see, it started really well. July closed down the trades to connect it back to the double Confluence account. So when I changed it over, took a small loss, bulk copied the open trades over to Darwin to get my score back up, managed to hit allocation, and now we're back on track. Yeah, 4% in August, and 2.5% so far in September. So this is copying over to Darwin. So as you can see, this is performing really, really well. Current position 262 out of 7,236. Done nearly 12 point. I've done 12.16% so far. I need to get to 20% in order to get to gold. When you get to gold, that's when you start receiving investment. Can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know this system too well. I'm just running it to test. But yeah, I need to get to gold. That's all I know. But yeah, well on track. I've managed to achieve 4 consecutive months. It says 3 straight consecutive months, but I've actually achieved 4 straight consecutive months of allocation. So I've received 120k in allocation. Not sure why it says 90 because it's actually 120. I think my performance fee so far is something like $177. So nothing too crazy. But once I get to gold, I'll start receiving investor capital. So that's what I'm aiming for. One thing I noticed is like, don't pay too much attention to this score because, yesterday when my double Confluence account or this Darwin account was in drawdown, I was in about 6k drawdown, and the score went right down to like 600 or 700, and so did my rating. So you have to be within 75 rating in order to get another month's allocation. Then my double Confluence account banked heavy, so did my Darwin account, and my rating went all the way back up to 262. My rating went back up to 82.58, and my position went up to 262. So it's all about like, just let it run. They're not copying over at what I'm copying over. So even though this is copying over from the double Confluence account at 0.25 lot multiplier, they're not copying it over at that. They're copying over at something much less. I think they're copying over at, you can see here, 0.32 of this. Okay, so yeah, they don't want to overexpose themselves and over-risk themselves, but this is performing really well. I think with Darwin, you have to get consecutive months in order to keep your capital allocation. I'm not 100% sure, but I think if you don't achieve, an allocation in 1 month, let's say you've achieved like 3 or 4 straight months, and then in the 5th month you don't achieve allocation, I think you reset, which is a bit annoying. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what I saw someone say in the chat. So I just want to keep this going and try and build this capital and get to gold. Once I get to gold, I'm laughing, hopefully. And there we go. And there